Oh, it's been a busy day, folks. Running a little late. So how's everybody doing? We got Phil, Sharp, Marie, Lynn. Alrighty. We're off to a good start, I guess. +4. Oh, I miss those days, Phil. Yeah, I miss those days. I had a long day. One of the neighbors, he's 80 years old. He called me. He's in the hospital. Had one leg amputated. Been there for quite a few weeks. And he just wants to go home. But his water was froze up. So I told him I'd go look at it. So I've been on that for about 4 hours today, and I might be ready tomorrow for him. I feel sorry for the guy. So I told him I'd look after it. So it was not too bad. It was -6 or something, right? Emma, Irish stock. 3, welcome. Yeah, so anyways, I have to look at that tomorrow, make sure it's ready for him. They need it for sanitation and everything, and poor fella. So, it's been another crazy week with what we call liberalism, aka communism. And that seems to be where we're at. Okay, I guess the stream's working good. I see this stream key default stream, whatever that means. That's a new one. So, -20 there. Yeah, we've had a lot of that, but it's starting to come up a little bit now. It's still only February. Still a lot of winter left. So, yeah, the Carnival is going strong here. We're 70 degrees there. It's 70 degrees here too in my place with my heat pump. But as soon as I open the door, it's not 70 degrees. So anyways, yeah, it's Carnival, Canada. It's just every day's a treat. More BS. It just doesn't seem to end. So, bring up some bookmarks I got. We got we got the Olympics over in Italy, and people are all excited about their Olympics and everything. Well, I'm not excited about the Olympics, but what I am amused at, actually, is what they come up with for the Canadian, I'll call it a costume. So, it looks like they didn't want them to get cold, so they dressed them up in like almost like a Arctic sleeping bag or something. Uh, Irish. What was my hydro bill? $185, I think. Yeah, it looks like they just, uh, or maybe they were like a comforter for a bed or something, right? So, uh, that's liberalism. That's insanity. Somebody got paid a lot of money for that to embarrass us on the world stage. You know, here's a here's a guy here displaying it, eh? Now, who designed something like that? Like, really? They must want us to be a laughing stock on the world stage. That's all I can think of. So I'm embarrassed. But then again, I know it's liberalism. It's insanity. Uh, this this is the U.S. This is what the U.S. what their Olympic wear looks like. Looks pretty good, doesn't it, compared to Canada? You know, it looks like common sense. Something we don't have under liberal rule is common sense. So they just like to change oil and pickup. It might keep you warm on a cold night and if your power's out or something, but other than that, I don't think it's meant for public, really. It doesn't look like anybody'd want to wear it in public, but they're forced to wear it as a thing. They have no choice. It's bizarre. So, you've probably seen this, but since it's the province I'm living in, I'm going to go through this a little bit. This is the Premier, Susan Holt. I had nothing to do with it. It's not my fault, folks. I had nothing to do with this. And she says, we've been carefully considering how we use social media, specifically X, as a government for some time. Social media is a tool we use to keep New Brunswickers informed quickly and directly. However, the recent concerns raised about X's operations are deeply troubling. This is a lie. Remember, she's a Liberal. The only Liberal Premier in Canada. We recognize that the platform's recent history, including reports of harmful content and inadequate safeguards, has eroded trust that it can be used in a way that aligns with our values, they're Liberal values, remember, and obligations to New Brunswickers. They have obligations to certain New Brunswickers only. Given these serious concerns, our government will no longer use X for routine communications. To stay connected, please visit my other social platforms linked below, where I will continue to post as usual. Facebook? Who uses that? Instagram? Nope. And Blue Sky? No. I have a Facebook account, and that's just for people to post on. I do not post on that. Or if I do, it's very, very rarely. And then she goes and repeats it in French here because it's a bilingual province. So I could say, I can call BS on Susan Holt because she's full of it. Her husband wears a rainbow belt buckle. I just don't know how many ways those two swing. They got a bunch of kids, 3 or 4 kids. So, anyways, there were a few comments. That's why she's leaving X. It has nothing to do with anything else except the comments. And she doesn't like the comments because on X, people can reply with what they want to say. She doesn't like that free speech thing. Look at some of the comments here. Billboard Chris. Your government is engaged in the pseudoscientific child abuse called gender-affirming care, cutting off the breasts of girls and sterilizing children with chemical castration drugs and cross-sex hormones, and you come here to claim you are for protecting kids? Resign. You're a disgrace. You should be criminally prosecuted for what you're doing to children. I agree with Billboard Chris 100%. You've gone strong. That's okay. The next election, your political opponents will scoop up the entire audience here. Thanks for the easy win. Table salt. Have fun on Blue Sky talking to the world's mentally ill. Winston J. Smith. Just another radical leftist government moving to a PDF-friendly platform. Miss Mass Formation. I know this lady. Lots of maps hanging out on Blue Sky. Coco loves the Odyssey. 1. Premier Holt, this decision is peak petty, childish nonsense from someone who should know better than to throw tantrums over a social media platform instead of focusing on actual governance. Leaders aren't supposed to act like sulky teenagers storming off. What recent concerns about X, this is misinformation again, what if we don't use the other platforms? You're limiting your outreach. Showbiz. X is the #1 news source in Canada on iOS and Google App Stores. You're disinforming your constituents. She's lying. Of course, again, she's liberal. That's what they do. Sarah Tempest, if you can't do your job at Twitter, maybe you are not built for the job. Get real and do your jobs like we do. No excuses, thank you. Look inward. Censorship reflects a society's lack of confidence in itself. Maeve, I hope he sues you, not for your choice to not use the X platform, but for maligning it with misleading statements. If everyone in Canada was on X, the public would swiftly reverse Canada's decline. Criminal politicians rely on censorship. The Epstein leaks prove a more deadly depopulating pandemic thing. You had a global digital prison, like financial structure being planned, and you were playing your part in it. Wake up, people. How is it the conservatives can see when we are being psyoped, but the left can't? Drives me nuts when they follow along like blind little sheep. So, you see, with these comments, that's why she's ditching it and running like a scared little rabbit, because she doesn't like what people are saying about her, so she can't handle it. Maybe she should change her ways. Maybe she should look after the children instead of mutilating them. But no, she's a liberal. That's what they do. Now this one here. Oh, she's got something to say about what she's going to do for the province. Okay, Susan, what are you going to do? Well, Port of Beldoon is a key piece in New Brunswick and Canada's economy, and their plans for expansion can help connect businesses to the global economy, strengthen supply chains, and diversify our markets. So, there she is, being important, sitting at the head of the board table, and all the liberals are looking at her, and I don't know what they're thinking inside, but I really don't care. But what did the people have to say about this? Well, focus on building the Port of St. John. There is no business case for Beldoon. If there was, the private sector would fund it. Stop wasting time and resources just to buy votes. Adam, so how will people get any information like this if you refuse to use X? Is it because you don't want to hear from the people of New Brunswick? You don't care what they think and have to say? I'm sure your political career will last long like that. Bud, put a critical mineral refinery there. Well, Bud, you have too many flags. Dallas Fletcher, an important economic asset for New Brunswickers in Canada. Congrats, all the best. Who's this Dallas Fletcher guy? Wolf of X. Oh, birthday surprises. That's cute. Rebel News. Oh, okay. It's because Chris Barber's back in the Ottawa courtroom. Of course he did that up there. Grumpy, cantankerous, ornery, darn right, irritating immigrant used to be a 60s long-haired freaky hippie. I've not played with liberals. Retired right-wing, Albertan, anti-globalist. Yeah, I don't know about Dallas Fletcher. Maybe I read him wrong. Milo, it's pretty obvious you have no clue. Please do the right thing and resign. That's a great picture. I like that. Maybe it's not going to come up. No. Yeah, that's a real good shot. Mug shot. Found a wannabe dictator. What's this all about? 40 million people on this piece of land pay a tax that our government claims will change the climate. Down in the U.S., 458 million people on this land don't pay this tax. Our Canadian government is stealing our money. Fandango, have you ever been to Beldoon? No more X for Susan. She'll now be partying along with all the PDF pigs and terrorists on Blue Sky. Why the PDF love Susan. And Susan Holt didn't see her shadow, which means early spring, more budget cuts, and early NB power hikes. Oh, she is so well thought of here in New Brunswick. But then again, it's a liberal province. We just can't shake it. It's a cultural thing in one way. Now, when she ousted the other premier, Blaine Higgs, he left with a balanced budget and a surplus. So now, I wonder what, I can't look it up right now. I was just wondering what our debt is. I know we're in debt, way in debt now after her coming in. Canada's going down, but New Brunswick's going down faster. It's a race to the bottom here. And I think New Brunswick's in the lead. Now, speaking of Billboard Chris, there's a short clip here. The guy's amazing. He's got guts. I'm not sure where it was when this happened.
Yeah, come on in. What's your name?
My name's Clementine.
Nice to meet you.
I've actually seen your stuff online, and I'm a huge fan.
All right.
12, and I was on testosterone from Clementine.
Nice to meet you.
I've actually seen your stuff online, and I'm a huge fan. I was on puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up. So I just want to say you're doing a good thing. I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about. So,
well, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much for speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if we have a little conversation about it? Okay, come on in this way just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hey.
So, your name again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned to add?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I'd been going off testosterone since about 17 because it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
I was 13.
Wow. And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14. I'm currently going through the process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
For everyone watching this who says this isn't happening, well, it happened to Clementine. At 14, a double mastectomy, puberty blockers at 12, testosterone at 13. How old are you now?
I'm 20 now. I just turned 20.
Yeah. So, it's a messed up world. I don't know if that's the US or Canada. I'm thinking Canada, but I don't know because Billboard Chris is going to a lot of different countries that are going through the same thing, all run by liberals. Or the extreme left, they call them Democrats in the U.S. The U.S. Democrats and the Canadian Liberals are joined at the hip. It's like the Canadian Liberals look to the Democrats in the U.S. for inspiration. They can't think for themselves, so they want to see what the Democrats in the U.S. are doing. And They either mimic it or they kind of twist it a little bit to make it Canadian. So that's what we're stuck with anyways. And now you see this. Oh, well, what did I just do? This is from Politics News Service. This is what's going down now. We got to watch this. This is more insanity in Canada. There's petition calls for federal party leaders to get top secret security clearance. You know what this is all about? This is all about censoring Pierre Poilievre. An electronic petition on the Parliament website calls on the House of Commons to require all federal party leaders to obtain and maintain top secret security clearance. Pierre's the only one that doesn't have it because he doesn't want to be censored censored. It says the reason is to ensure leaders are fully informed of threats to Canada's national security and act decisively to protect Canadians and our democracy. And it notes that Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre refuses to seek top secret security clearance, which it says exposes Canada to avoidable national security risks. Well, Liberal MP Bruce Banjoy, he's a scumbag, and this Mark Hashey from Manlock, Ontario is the initiator, and Banjoy from Ontario is authorizing it. These people are desperate. So I hope they don't get that going. Okay, come on. Elizabeth May has top security clearance. Would you trust her with any top secret information? A couple of stiff martinis, and her lips would be flapping to anybody that was willing to listen to her, which is not too many, fortunately. But yeah, she'd be spilling her guts to make it look like she was important. I can tell you something that people don't know. Let me tell you this. Can I have another one, bartender? Right? So
yeah, come on in. What's your name?
My name's Clementine.
Sorry. That's the thing when you scroll, it actually starts playing without me having any control over it. What did the people have to say about this, I wonder? Oh, the usual. This goes over like a turd in a punch bowl. Anna 000, blah, sure it does. Government, CBC, CTV, Global. Yeah. A gag order comes with every security clearance. We have to keep my government corruption secret. Who cares? Yeah, more people sworn to secrecy will really fix the major corruption in our government. NZCOP is an agency of the executive branch rather than a true parliamentary committee. The Prime Minister has final say over what remains in their public reports. Once cleared, members cannot publicly disclose the classified details they learn. Violating this secrecy can lead to criminal prosecution. They would just love to lock up Pierre. Similar to what's going down south. The clearance is a way to legally gag opposition members from speaking about government failures in the House of Commons. This specific clearance process and its legal obligations are why some politicians, including Pierre Poilievre, refuse it, and rightly so. The real question is, why does the government want to gag the official opposition legally, and what are they trying to hide? Well, they got a lot of skeletons they're trying to hide. I know that. We all know that. This is a petition to force MPs to sign an NDA that hides LPC traders corrupted by communist China. For sure. That's Keith Remco. M. Brandt, 75, that would be unconstitutional, but you go ahead and cheerlead that petition, which will go nowhere, never make it through committee, and even if it did, get stuck down in court. NCCOP is a Trudeau abomination that should be destroyed. Yeah, Trudeau had to try to hide all his corruption, and now Carney is okay. So Carney didn't initiate this. Come on, it's a Liberal Party, right? Wink, wink. So, they're gonna try their best. They tried every trick in the book. They're not done. It's a big book. Right? They haven't tried every trick in the book. They've tried quite a few. So how's it going on the Olympics over in Italy? Well, Antifa never gives up. It's a worldwide organization. It's a communist organization. Here they are. They don't like the Olympics. So they're going to raise hell on earth for some reason. Police are clubbing the hell out of them. Club them. Hit them harder. Hit them. They got a bazooka. No, you're... Like, where do they get this stuff? You see that box that guy's got? He's just firing stuff out. Yeah. Frickin' war zone. What do they got against the Olympics? Hit them harder. Best part is when they wail on them with the clubs. I like that part. Plumber's crack could be Ottawa. Very good point. And you know what? It might not be too long. The weather's warming up. Everything's heating up. Not just the temperature outside, but on the political spectrum. But I mean, if there is a way to do it, like, this is how it's done. This shuts it down pretty quick. This is this down the U.S., Minneapolis, Minnesota, and anyways, some people showed up to take things into their own hands here, and it's pretty cold there. Why not just spray some crap on them and let them have it? Great way to deal with it. I wish I had something like that. That's what we need up in Ottawa when they if things start shaking up there again and Carney brings in the goons, and we need some people with some manure spreaders to go take care of the goons. Carney is clearly the antithesis of Canada First. He says, where is it here? It says, Mark Carney's cutting seniors' health care in the budget. Do you hear about that, folks? Oh, those poor old timers. He's going to pick on us. Is that real? As far as I know, it's real. Mark Carney cutting seniors' health care in the budget. Prime Minister plans to cut over $300 million in 2028 and again in 2029 for seniors' health care. So we can't afford to take care of our seniors, but we can afford to send billions to Ukraine. Make it make sense. Because you can't. I could think of lots of responses to this government, and it would be a lot worse than those tractors. So, Canada says Liberals are leaving X behind and curating echo chambers for themselves on platforms like Blue Sky, aka Blue Cry. I guess they couldn't handle the pushback to get on here. Too much free speech on X for your liking, eh? Mark Garrettson. See, Garrettson, I can't stand that snake. Dirty rat. This is from Mark Garrettson, MP, Liberal MP. Hey, all. I really don't post much here anymore. Nor do I look at the DMs. I guess not. Come find me on other socials until we meet again. Who can reply? Accounts Mark Garrettson follows or mentioned can reply. J-Gen Xer. Okay, this one here, let's listen to it. This guy here makes a whole lot of sense. It's a 10-minute video, but it's very informative. So let's have a listen to this. I think the audio is good on it. If not, I'll bring it up some.
Good evening, my fellow Canadians, and welcome to the final show, The Coup de Grace. What I have uncovered and will describe to you this evening may very well be the final blow to Mark Carney's political career. Once you realize what he has done and what he is doing, you will realize we are in a catastrophic debt spiral, and he is making a ludicrous amount of money in the process. I'm going to preface this and tell you a little bit about Mark Carney because it's important information. I will keep this as simple as possible so it is easy to understand, and I will use analogies to simplify it further on the end so you can grasp exactly what has been going on. So Mark Carney championed net zero. He started GFANZ in the UK in 2019. The accumulated total of the capital access was over $130 trillion. His net zero actually started to collapse when Republican attorneys started to subpoena banks in the U.S. over anti-competition regulations. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and so forth all exited net zero. So he championed de-risking green energy investment because there's no return on green energy. You'll be a decade to 2 decades before it's actually profitable, if ever. Now this is very important because what you do is you take federal funds, taxpayer funds, you absorb all of the liability and cost and make sure that the investment succeeds, and you offer this as a guarantee so the private investors will come and invest in that project. Bloomberg announced in 2020 that Carney was the unofficial economic advisor to Trudeau. Since he is unpaid and unofficial, it does not trigger the Conflict of Interest Act, and he has complete influence over Trudeau's policy with zero consequence. So the 3 key figures are Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau, and Mark Carney. Chrystia Freeland being the finance minister. From 2020 to 2025, approximately $190 billion has been allotted to de-risk green energy investment. Now the problem comes when GFANZ is collapsing, that $130 trillion disappears. There's only one place that you can access that kind of capital as cash on hand, and that is a country's pension fund. So through Trudeau, he created all the de-risk policy. Through Freeland, who Trudeau appointed, and remember, Mark Carney is the godfather of a child, the Canadian Growth Fund is created for $15 billion, which is used to de-risk green energy investment. Stick with me here because this is very important. The public service pension has very strict regulations for investing. It is only applicable to very low risk and typically an IRR compounding return. So you can't take pension money and de-risk green energy investment, and you can't use it to invest in green energy because it's typically a net loss. However, Mark's first transition fund, Brookfield Growth Transition Fund 1, later renamed 2, has PSP pension funds and Ontario Teachers pension funds as limited partners LLPs in that transition fund. Oh, that's why that's. And I thought, how did he get pension funds into that transition fund? Trudeau, obviously. All the board members of the Public Service Pension and the Canadian Growth Fund are selected through a process of the Treasurer and the Finance Minister. At the end of the day, the Prime Minister gets final approval. These individuals are paid between 6 and 7 figures, and the Prime Minister can remove them at any time without cause. Do you think you would listen to me if I can remove your 7-figure salary just like that? Yet these management systems are considered bipartisan. They are a political tool. The PSP also created a subsidiary called the CCFIM that manages that $15 billion Canadian Growth Fund. Try not to lose me here. So the final close on the Brookfield Transition Fund 2, which Mark managed with Teskey, is $20 billion, and there is another transition fund with contracts with the UAE called the Catalytic Transition Fund for billions of dollars as well. Because this is routed through subsidiaries, disclosure becomes obscured. Now we're going to get to the smoking gun. This is just one example. Brookfield makes an initial investment of $300 million from this transition fund into Entropy Inc. in Canada. That is now a majority stake, and because it's not an investment in profit return, it meets the threshold for the PSP, which is your pension money. So a typical management fee at Brookfield for the entire fund is between 1.5 and 2%. What generally happens is as 100% of the capital is returned, I say returned, but you don't actually return the funds, there's then a 5 to 8% hurdle after that. There's a catch-up phase where Brookfield will collect 20%, and then after that, there's an 80-20 split to the pension fund, which is the LLP, the limited partner. I should put that in the beginning. So the typical time frame and threshold for Mark Carney to collect on that extraordinary 20% could take up to 10 to 15 years. And now comes the magic. They used the Canadian Growth Fund to de-risk the entire project on a contract for 15 years on a guarantee for $16 million a year and $200 million up front. That means all liability, all debt, and all carrying right to the finish line is taken on by the Canadian taxpayer. So we would support the project right to the end, be at a net loss as the completed project belongs to a foreign entity who collects all of the profits and reaps all of the rewards. If you didn't think that was bad enough, here is the nit. When a government contract de-risks the investment, it is legally binded and can be front-loaded immediately, which means that 15-year valuation that is down the road occurs instantaneously, jumps the hurdle, and the 20% kicks in immediately. So not only are we at a net loss, the project will be foreign owned, and we have debt for the next 15 years, and Carney gets paid immediately. Do you have any idea what the 20% payout plus management fee, even after you pay the other managers and the dividends are separated, just for Mark Carney? If he is able to de-risk the entire platform, and he's doing it right in front of your eyes, we are de-risking the UAE commitments, and the UAE has the contract with the Catalyst Transition Fund that he also managed. The maximum dollar amount is between $750 million to $1.2 billion. If you didn't notice immediately after the budget was passed, all of these commitments start rolling in because they're all being de-risked. And the incredible part is this. He took your pension money, because you can't take tax money, it's not there, there's no pile of cash. Put it in a fund to attract other investors. It is a perfect circle, a snake eating its tail. And at the end of it, there's a net loss. We don't own the product. We don't own the profits. We'll get a little bit of tax and maybe some jobs. And Mark Carney will be a billionaire. That's like me taking all the money in your bank account, holding on to it to invest, taking half your check when you get it, taking 5% to put back in this money I took from you, and then keeping the rest. I hope you understand, as this continues, this is the ratio change that the Parliamentary Budget Officer is talking about. The debt is not only escaping the GDP, it's a contractual obligation for up to 20 years in some cases, meaning you can't escape. We are going to reach a no escape velocity, and even if you get him out of office, the damage cannot be recovered from. I had my suspicions that Chrystia Freeland was fully aware that this was going on, potentially has her own investments offshore, and she got the hell out as fast as she could when that last budget dropped, because Trudeau's budget was Carney's budget. Trudeau, Freeland, Mark Carney complicit across the board, and if any member of that PSP fund signed an LPA, that's the limited partnership agreement, with simple interest, instead of compound interest, which is the standard IRR, they're going to have a big problem. Because I ran the numbers upside down and backwards to see how fast I could make my money if I were Mark Carney and I was influencing the policy, and I would have put in simple interest annually versus compound, because your front load becomes even faster. So every time we de-risk a project for 10 to 15 years, the firm, like Brookfield, front loads the entire contract for the full 15 years because it's black and white, and jumps straight to the finish line to get paid instantly. Think about that. Guys, I'm not talking about a little bit of money. The $6 million in stocks that they talk about, they told you that on purpose. Because when the Brookfield representative was in the House being questioned recently, who was clearly trembling, mentioned the stocks, but he also said carried interest, which means your guy Mark Carney is going to be a billionaire. Do you understand why he came to Canada? Because he spent 4 years building this and trying to access our pension funds because it's cash on hand. He needed it. That's what he was after the entire time, and I said it, and he literally said it in a press conference the other day and mentioned the $2 trillion. If you think it might be a coincidence, I ran a statistical analysis on the probability of all of those policies landing and those investments occurring in that exact chronological order, and it would be the same as if you built a plane, I built a runway, and you accidentally landed on that runway and not even knew where it was. It is impossible. It was facilitated by Carney, Trudeau, and Chrystia Freeland, and Carney actually did it all. Because Trudeau is as dumb as a bag of bricks, which I've said. This is cascade payment, and I've left out about 1,000 details that would just overcomplicate it all for you, but all you need to know is that it's a snake eating its tail. It's a completely false payback on our own pension funds with our tax money. Pension, tax money. This is what's happening. Go ahead and look it up. Send this to your friends. Send this to any economist that you know. Send it to Mark Carney. Send it to every PSP board member. Send it to Chrystia Freeland. I want everyone to know exactly what he's doing.
So there it is. Like he says, Trudeau's dumb as a sack of bricks. Trudeau just did what Carney told him, and Freeland. They went along with it. Why wouldn't they? Right? What's going to happen? Nothing. Why did he move Brookfield out of Canada so fast? Well, not good. But I keep voting for him for some reason, because I just don't trust that Peter guy, you know. Like I say, why? I don't know. I just don't trust him. Well, because you're watching propaganda. They don't know because they're dazed. They're sitting there watching the news media. They believe it's 100% true. Meanwhile, the news media is getting paid by Carney and Trudeau. Trudeau before and Carney now. You know, you can't break through that. It's a cult, is what it is. It's a liberal cult, and they're just so awed by how wonderful the liberals are, because we're going to get a few bucks to help with groceries, like $40 a month or something, or, you know, while they run away with billions. And what's up with Ukraine? Why are we still sending money there? How much of that's being laundered and kickbacks and yeah. And anybody that says anything about it, oh, you're a Russian, or you're a bot, or you're a Trumpian, or you're whatever they can come up with at the time. It's one woman I met, man, she was just she hated Trump so much that it's consumed her whole life. I said, does you ever think it might be a distraction? She said, what do you mean? I said, you're not paying attention to Ottawa. You're looking south. Looking at the President of the United States. you're not looking at the crooks and criminals that are stealing all our money and bringing invaders in that hate us and stealing jobs, and the government's fudging the job numbers and playing with those, and they lie, they don't answer one question, they refuse to answer any question. They actually answer a question with a question now. They've changed. So instead of giving an answer, they come back with another question. So who does that? Don't have to look too far. They just signed an agreement with a country that does that. I don't know what's going to be our next official language. Is it going to be Mandarin or is it going to be Cantonese? Probably Mandarin, I think. I think that's more popular than Cantonese. So I had this one here. I like to play these every once in a while, these videos, because we must never, ever forget. Ryan Garrettson posted this on the 30th of January. And this was during the madness, the insanity. So this is actually the explanation of this. I'll give you that first. There were unlimited reasons why the Freedom Convoy in Canada needed to happen. This is one of them. Physically forcing people to wear masks in order to be able to ski outdoors. Never forget. And I won't. I was at all the protests. Here we go. Here, sorry, I got two mice here. I gotta grab the right one. Just watch. This is awesome. It's actually, this went to a whole level of entertainment, though, right? We got front row seats to this. Front row seats to this. Now, you see how they piled on. And, no, I don't know, it seems like the guy recording it was kind of in agreement with the crooked authorities. It was amazing how fast and how they enjoyed grabbing people and arresting them for not having a mask, or not having the right paperwork. That's pretty scary. It was bad here. Not as bad as Ottawa, but Ottawa set the precedent. But yeah, it was bad here. Places where we were restricted. They tried to stop us from going to the public market. We had protests, slow rolls through the city and stuff. They were pretty frequent, but very frequent. But when they tried to block us from going to the public market, the manager of the public market received a message from our groups and said, well, if we can't get in there to purchase any food, nobody else is going to get in there either. We're going to be parked out by the entrances with our loudspeakers going, blaring, and we're going to be there in huge numbers. Well, the manager kind of rolled that back and said, well, no, that's okay. You guys can come through here too and purchase some food if you want. Exactly, Phil. The oppression was thick in Canada during the co-op, yeah. And see how fast it happened and how on board the police were. I had my camera going all the time, so the police, they were on camera all the time. They knew it. They're not stupid. They see me as a camera. But they had drones in the air flying around, monitoring everybody. It was a 4-day, 4-night protest in front of the ledge. And that was in January. As it was going on in Ottawa, we had going pretty big here. We had a lot of people that thought we were just disgusting. We had a lot of people that really kind of liked what we were doing. They were afraid to speak up. We were speaking for them. We had a police escort on a slow roll around the city. People were coming out with their masks on and looking at us, wondering what was going on. They were shocked. Some people were angry. Some people were happy to see us. I just can't believe how fast the authorities, the crackdown. The mayor said, go get them, and they did. A lot of people got arrested here, stupid charges, and got convicted. The judges were all against the people and all on the side of the brutal authorities. So it can happen again. That was an example of how fast it can happen. It can definitely happen again. Very swiftly. Remember who was advising Trudeau back then? Remember who said, shut him down? So, and then there's the infamous one that you just can't forget. This is not a free country. Not anymore. It's not the Canada I grew up in. This is horrible.
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? Wow. What is this baby doing? Trampling. Trampling horses. Trampling. They just trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady. Yeah, the lady got fully trampled on a horse. Oh, come on through. Come on through.
Those were the days. They weren't very good. The authorities do what they're told by the government, and the peons have no say. These people could be your neighbors. I'm talking about the authorities and how fast they can turn. Anything for a paycheck, right? Maybe they got a bonus. I bet they did. I bet they got a nice fat bonus. for doing what they were doing. There's no reason to bring those horses in. No reason to bring the foreign military or whatever it was in either. So, you know, those days are over for now. But can they come back? They can come back in a heartbeat. Because that's how fast they were rolled out the first time. Ruined people's lives. Froze their bank accounts. Destroyed them. It's funny how they won't make an apology to the people or compensation for what they did that was proven to be illegal by 4 judges, the lower court and the appeal court. So are we in a free country? No. Canada's gone communist. We've had 10 years, a little over 10 years now. And the idiots, complete idiots, the stooges, keep putting them back in. How much pain do people have to go through before they realize that, gee, maybe these the right people to have charge over us? It's a little too late. I think I don't know if we've gone past the tipping point. I think we have. With the immigration, the numbers that have been brought in that are against us, they don't like us, the people don't like us that they brought in. That was intentional. Remember back when the Syrians were coming in, and that was just before the election of 2015. And the Christians were being over there, and Harper was trying to bring the Christians in, and Trudeau made a big issue, and that was Mulcair at the time too. I'm pretty sure that was Mulcair, yeah. Same thing, right? Oh, you're cherry picking who you're bringing in. You're disgusting. You're racist. Conservatives, just disgusting. So what did Trudeau do? No, leave the Christians there. We want Muslims. And that was the beginning of the end. So I just can't see how we're going to correct this. I see what they're doing down south. They're sending them up home, back to their countries. Would it ever happen here? Gee, I don't know. Talk is cheap. Actions sometimes don't happen. So, I talked about the danger of Islam, and I got condemned for it, that I was a bad person. Okay. Time will tell who's right. I still know I'm right. On that issue anyways. Maybe not, I'm definitely not on everything. Nobody is. But on that issue, yeah. It's political Islam. It's dangerous to any free country. The West has been flooded. So, yeah. I don't see any turnaround. Because Carney's bankrupting us. Trudeau's still filling his stash wherever it is. Who knows? Freeland's getting her dividends, and she's out of the country. Look at they just built a consulate over in Greenland. 16 Canadians live in Greenland. And they rush over with this consulate, and they fly a whole bunch of people over there in the plane so they can, and had flags so they could wave flags and make a big issue out of it. Hey, Trump, look, we got a consulate here. You can't take this country. We're here, you know. Carney says, well, I'll just go to war with the U.S. No, you'll cut and run. Take the money and get the hell out of here is what he'll do. Isn't that what dictators do when the times get tough? They flee. They go to a safe country. The UAE maybe, or Qatar. Who knows? I'm sure he's got someplace lined up, safe place. Maybe it's an island somewhere. Never know. So, yeah, we're in a bad state of affairs. Why can't I ever have good news? I don't think there is much. It's hard to find. So, real UN goals in Sharia are exactly the same. Yes. Let's take a look at the chat here. See what's up. We got Bill the Cheat, Fred. Chinese interference, etc. Yeah, you're right. Irish Canada has never been free. That's right. I agree. Irish. Majesty has a spy and everything, like it or not. I know. We should not be loyal to the crown. That's one thing. That'd be the only thing I agree with Quebec on. Jiggy Paul, remigration. That's right. I hate that religion. Well, yeah. It's political, military. Politics and military come before the religion. I believe it goes in that order. I'm not maybe wrong on that, but Irish. Wondering whatever happened to the native children that Elizabeth took back to England with her. Not sure. I hear that out there, that story. I don't know. Yeah, stupid, no kidding, eh? People Cristo Rey, the ones from Kamloops in the 60s. Yep. No, Kamloops story is BS. It's hard to tell fact from fiction now, isn't it? Papa Trudeau screwed up for us. Yeah, no kidding. I don't know. Like I say, it's a change of government may not correct all the ills that have been laid out on us, but they can fix some things at least anyways. I mean, their policies are different. And I seen a clip on X, I believe it was Michelle Rappel-Garner, and that was at the Conservative Convention, and she's sitting there and somebody come over and says, hi, I'm so-and-so from CBC, and Michelle looked at him, got up, and just hustled right out of there. And the poster said, look at her running from the media. That's not media, that's propaganda. And she wasn't going to be trapped by CBC. It was a gotcha, something gotcha is what it is. That's all they do. So the poster is obviously a left-wing propagandist too. So Phil, yeah, the Grays detected are actually a septic field for the facility. Yeah, and there was some, I think there was tree roots. I think there was a bunch of different things, different places. Even Cristo Rey. I was born in Kamloops in 1974. You're a young fella. My dad taught at an inner city school, and the stories he told are so sad. Now, remember Mark Carney's father was principal in residential school. Carney doesn't mention that much there at all, really. So, Bug Katie, we now have a Canadian consulate in Greenland. More tax dollars. Yes, no kidding, eh? And of course, the GG was there, soaking up the money. I forget who posted it, but what's been spent on meals, like Carney on his flights, thousands of dollars on meals, just like Trudeau is doing. Millions of dollars in total when you add up all the flights. People are starving. They're in tents in a Canadian winter. People are having limbs amputated from frostbite. And they're pissing money away in Ukraine. Ukrainians got more gold than most other countries, and they're not using it. Doesn't give a damn about Canadians. He's picking on the homeless, the seniors, the down and out, while he's stealing the money. There's no morals, no soul. I don't see any soul in any of the liberals. They're defensive and they lie. So same as Emma, same as the Governor General on her overseas flights. Yeah, I don't know what they're eating. I could save a few crumbs for the homeless. Everybody's in such a mess here in this country financially that you'll see the tents. Every city's got the tent city, but what people don't see is the people that are sleeping in the back seat of their car. They're kind of the invisible homeless. You don't really see them, but they're there. You don't get any stats on stuff like that because it shames the government in power, right? So they talk the good talk, even though it's lies and propaganda, but it's good enough that there's people that believe them and they'll still support them. And they'll still say, those conservatives, we can't let them in power. They're pure evil. So until you manage to change this perspective, and the only way to do it is for, I'd say, Pierre to get in there and cut the funding. You got to cut the funding off to them. Once they lose their money, then they start shutting down. It's all about money. They're stealing it. You got to take it away from them, and they'll collapse. The whole thing will collapse, and then you'll see probably some liberals disappearing out of the country. Well, anyways, folks, appreciate you all being on here. It's always great to see you, and we'll do it again next week. I got a busy week ahead of me. Next weekend might be a little bit of a surprise. Okay, very good. And like I say, it's always great seeing you on here, and the chat's going great. That's lovely to see it. Till next week, bye for now, and God bless.